10 wins and 1 loss. That is currently the Golden State Warriors record with Jimmy Butler in the lineup. And if you can't see what is happening right now in Golden State, you aren't paying attention, because I promise you the rest of the NBA is sitting up and taking note. Because the Golden State Warriors we saw earlier in the year, and even last year, that team is gone. This is a new team with a new co-star for Stephen Curry. And most importantly, this is a new version of Steph Curry. Well, maybe not a new version, but it's a re-energized version of Steph Curry. Because with a co-star to take some of the pressure and weight off Steph's shoulders, he has been able to get back to looking like the Steph Curry that has had the NBA scared for a decade, averaging over 30 points, nearly 6 assists, and over 4 boards a game since Jimmy was traded to the Dubs, not to mention the efficiency. And just the way Steph is moving, the confidence, the freedom, the matchups that he's getting now with actual isolation matchups. Who would have thought? I haven't seen Steph Curry get ISOs in years, but now all of a sudden with other players that the team has to worry about, Steph Curry has a new sense of freedom. Just look at him here against Asar Thompson, which isn't a friendly matchup, but Steph creates that initial separation before the step back and the massive 3 in the face of Thompson. And we're going to ignore the fact that he banked it in, because that is literally the greatest shooter who has ever lived and probably will ever live, so we cannot speak on any single shot he takes or makes. And don't just take it from me about this freedom Steph has. He said the same thing about the impact Jimmy has had on him and the team. But before I talk more about Jimmy and Steph, there is one guy who needs some respect. On a team built around 3 of the best players of this generation, a team with young, talented lottery picks like Brandon Pajemski, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody, it's easy to overlook guys who might not have the same level of talent as those other guys. But if you are willing to give effort and make timely plays, you can get minutes on any team. And someone who has been doing that all year for the Dubs is Gui Santos. And the recent game against Detroit was the perfect example of what makes Gui a valuable piece on this team, with him making plays like this.
Steph Curry pull it out. Rebound and finish. Santos going strong.
It's not just about the offensive rebounding or the timely cuts and 3-point shots either, but Gui has also quickly learned how to play alongside Steph Curry. He knows when and where to get Steph the ball, and he doesn't complain. He doesn't look to stall the offense or take away from Jimmy, Steph, or Dre. Gui does what is asked of him every single night. He crashes the offensive glass, he makes those timely shots, makes those timely cuts, and finds Steph or Jimmy as well. Just like here, where he's bringing the ball up in transition. He sees Steph with some space and throws a perfect cross-court dime to Steph to step in for 3. Or how about here, which is another crucial play to be able to make on a Steph Curry-led team. The play is initially set up for Steph to come off the Draymond screen. Both defenders go to Steph, so Gui recognizes that and finds Dre cutting back door. I remember early in the season, and still now, there were a lot of people questioning the minutes of Gui Santos, but the size, the energy, the IQ, the hustle, and now that he's knocking down threes at a consistent rate, this is someone who belongs in the NBA. But getting back to the stars of the show, what should really scare the NBA is not only is Steph Curry getting back to his best, but so is Jimmy Butler. Since being traded to the Dubs, Jimmy's impact has been clear. His defense, his additional shot creation, the playmaking, and just the overall energy he has brought this team. But over the last couple of games against Brooklyn and Detroit, we've seen the version of Jimmy that could make this team a championship contender. The version of Jimmy Butler that can absolutely take over games with or without Steph Curry on the floor, and more importantly, without Steph Curry on the floor, because we all know the Warriors have struggled for years when Steph has gone to the bench, and struggle would be an understatement with how they were playing this year without Steph Curry on the floor. Well, now you have someone in Jimmy Butler who can take over games, who can be the best player on the floor regardless of who he's up against. against. We've seen that in the playoffs, but in particular, if he's up against bench lineups or lineups without the opposition's best players, he can absolutely take over. And we saw it in the game against the Pistons in the third quarter with Steph Curry struggling. It was Jimmy who went off, scoring 15 points on 7 shots. And one thing that was unusual about this third quarter from Jimmy was the fact he hit 2 threes. I had pretty much given up on seeing him hit another 3 for the rest of the year, and I don't think it matters a ton, but when he can hit the occasional 3 just like Draymond, who hit a clutch 3, it's just a nice way to punish the defense, because the defense is always going to load up in the paint on Jimmy and sag off on Dre. So if you can punish them, that's great. But aside from the 3s, Butler just makes it look so easy. His ability to get to the rim, to get to the free throw line, use those pump fakes and head fakes to throw off defenders, that physicality inside, and most importantly, getting to the free throw line, which I don't know if the referees have changed their whistles or it's just the Jimmy Butler effect, but this has had a team-wide effect. Steph is getting to the line more. Every single player on this team seems to have benefited from Jimmy Butler's ability to get to the free throw line. And then going back to the game against Detroit, after Jimmy had such a dominant third quarter, guess what happened in the fourth quarter? It was Steph Curry who scored 13 points. It was exactly what happened in the game against Brooklyn. And if we start to see a 1-2 punch like this where they take turns going off, look out, rest of the NBA, look out. And when you're at the level the Golden State Warriors are at right now, when you look like a contender, it's not just about what you're getting from the stars, but just as importantly, it is the roles that everyone else can fill. I talked about the hustle that Gui Santos is bringing. Well, another guy who has been doing that in a different way is Moses Moody. Moses Moody has been great ever since Jimmy Butler was traded to the Warriors, and even before that, looking more assertive on offense, looking better shooting the 3-ball, just looking overall like the player that the Warriors would have hoped they were getting. But defensively, that is where he has taken a leap. When Jimmy Butler was traded to the Warriors, I knew the defense would be great, off the ball in particular, with Jimmy and Draymond, but they needed someone who would get out there and harass the opposition's best guards. They needed a point of attack defender. Up stepped Moses Moody, who was taken on that challenge, and it's been his ability to use his length, his size, and his determination to constantly get in the face of the best guards in the league. And there was no bigger stop than on this play against the Pistons. With the Warriors up by 2 and 30 seconds remaining, Cade Cunningham has the ball, but whilst he's busy worrying about what's happening ahead of him, Moody takes advantage, diving to the floor to poke the ball out of Cade's hands before Dre then dives in and gets the ball. And with his wingspan, with his pretty good athleticism, when he is locked in like this, which he has been, he is someone that could be a really, really important piece for this Golden State Warriors team. And it is great to see him thriving. And in general, every single role player that is on this Warriors team just looks revitalized, just looks better than before now that there are 2 stars to take the pressure off those guys. And the Warriors, as a result, have gone from a middling team to a legitimate championship contender. I don't think that's crazy to say anymore. Now, if you want to hear me continue to talk about this team going forward, consider subscribing, dropping a like on the video would be cool. Most importantly, have a great day. Thank you as always. Bye.